These coconut truffles are almost too easy to make and are definitely too easy to eat. This is an easy, no-bake recipe that requires only a few ingredients and they look absolutely stunning plated up. Today's recipe is courtesy of my mum, who has made this coconut dessert for every Diwali for as long as I can remember. At home we call them coconut balls, but you can call them coconut laddus, coconut snowballs, or coconut truffles. It's definitely a showstopper dessert that'll be great for Christmas, birthdays, or any other festive occasion. You can choose to leave them plain white. The desiccated coconut will look like a pretty dusting of snow, or you can play around with food coloring to get your own look. Today I'm going to show you how to get this ombre pink look. First, on very low heat, add 1 tablespoon of butter to a non-stick pan. Let it melt and then add in half a cup of condensed milk and warm it up. We don't need to do this for too long. We're not trying to caramelize the condensed milk, we just want it a little warm. For this first batch, I'm not going to add in any coloring. I want a really gradual ombre, so we're going to start with white on top and then increase the intensity of color as we go. Once the condensed milk is warmed up, mix in 1.5 cups of desiccated coconut and let it cook for a minute. The mixture should be sticky enough for it to form into a ball, but not too sticky that it sticks to the pan or your hand. Add in more coconut if you think it's too sticky, or add more condensed milk if it's too dry. Once that's done, leave it aside to cool down while we work on the next few batches. So each batch will make about 10 to 12 truffles, depending on how big or small you roll them. I'll be making 5 batches today to get the look I'm going for, but you can of course make as much or as little as you want. For our second batch, we're going to once again melt the butter and warm up the condensed milk. But before we add the desiccated coconut, we're going to add 1 drop of pink coloring into the mix. So it's important to add in the coloring after you've warmed up the condensed milk, but before adding the desiccated coconut. This will allow you to judge the intensity of the color much better, and you can make adjustments as necessary. If you add in the coloring after adding in the coconut, then the coloring might not mix in as evenly and you might end up with uneven patches of color within the batch. We're going to repeat this step for the next few batches, mixing in the coconut after we've added in the coloring. To get the different shades of pink, we're simply going to up the amount of coloring we use each time to get a nice gradient going. We're going to add 2 drops of coloring in the third batch, 3 drops in the fourth batch, and 6 drops of coloring in the fifth and final batch. The amount of coloring you add will depend on how intense you want the colors to be, and of course, the type of coloring you use as well. Once the coconut mixture has cooled, portion it out and roll it in between your hands to form the balls. Then, roll the balls in more desiccated coconut to coat the outside. While this is optional, I think this extra bit of coconut dusting really adds to the look. To plate up, get a cake stand or a dish of choice and start stacking the balls, starting with the deepest color at the bottom. I'm using coconut balls from the first plain batch to fill in the middle as I make my way up the stack, leaving the pretty pink ones to sit around the rim. Okay, so here's a tip for you guys. Once you start to lay these out, you're quickly going to realize that they're a bit fiddly and they're going to move around a little bit too much. So you really want the base layer at the very least to be secure so that once you start stacking, they don't all just come tumbling down. If you find the balls are rolling around too much, melt 1 tablespoon of icing sugar and 1 tablespoon of water and use that as a glue to keep the coconut balls in place. The icing sugar does harden up pretty quickly, so you'll want to melt it and use it right away. You only really need the glue for the base layer. Everything else stacks up pretty well once that's secure. So there you have it, my ombre coconut truffles, ready for the next festive occasion. Feel free to get creative with these. If you're going to make them for a children's party, you could even coat the outside with chocolate sprinkles or rainbow sprinkles, or get lollipop sticks and turn them into coconut truffle pops, or even use them to decorate a cake. The options are endless, really. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. And give it a like as well, because that's always appreciated. And subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Boo. Hello. Hi.
Hi.